My question is in regard to page 97, the book banning prohibited. You know, we have a lot of parents who are showing up at school board meetings in our state and across the nation objecting to certain curriculum, either explicitly graphic or teaching values that are contrary to the principles our country was founded on. So does this provision, how does that affect parents willing to come to a school board to object to a particular book or curriculum at a public school board meeting?
Senator Swazinski.
Yeah, thanks for. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for that question, Senator. If you read line 98, 9810, the parents still have the right to curriculum review and seeking an alternative curriculum if they so desire. So your concerns are addressed in the bill.
Senator Grutenhagen.
Oh, thank you for that answer, Senator Zazinski. Yeah, I found that, you know, I was a public school board member for 16 years. Of course, we know that. And I spent a lot of time on curriculum while I was a school board meeting. In fact, I was on the curriculum committee. And one of the things I found is that our public schools in general do a lot of censorship, lies, and deceit as far as their curriculum that's being taught to the children. Now, I'm going to give you several examples, and this is why this particular provision does give me some concern. And I know it's a governor initiative, but I think it could be used against parental input, even with that comfort language that's in there. You know, one of the things I found is that we do a lot of censoring in our public schools of our founding documents. In fact, I had a retired U.S. history teacher, public school, come to my office after I wrote an editorial about multicultural diversity versus the teaching of U.S. history and patriotism. And he had been a public school teacher for over 30 years. He was also my assistant football coach when I played football for Glencoe. And he just said, you know, Glenn, I agree with you. He said, in the 50s, we taught U.S. history and patriotism to our students. Then in the 60s and the 70s, we switched over to social studies, which basically watered down the teaching of U.S. history and patriotism. He said, now we're moving to multiculturalism and diversity, which basically is censoring many of the principles of U.S. history and patriotism that our country is founded on. And today, with diversity, equity, and inclusion, we've all but completely censored and banned curriculum, both in our libraries and even in our schools, to the teaching of students of what this country was actually founded on. In fact, if you'll remember, I brought a recommendation forward on one of the education bills to teach that we're founded as a God-given rights constitutional republic versus a mob democracy, just encouraging that to be taught to our students. And that was voted down by the people on the other side of the aisle. So, you know, the book banning has been going on for decades, and it's mostly by the liberal left in our public schools, and it's robbing the children of the heritage and the principles that our country was founded on. Another area is in science. I find a lot of censorship, lies, and deceit. You know, there's lots of scientific evidence that points to a creator or God. And I'll just give you two. One is the law of cause and effect. For every effect, there's a greater cause. So you have a computer. Did somebody make the computer? If you'd never seen it before, did somebody make the computer? Or did wind, rain, time, and chance blow the computer into existence? Well, the logical conclusion is someone made the computer. Well, your eyeball is millions of times more complex than that computer, and therefore the law of cause and effect has never been contradicted. You have this building, somebody built it. You have the earth, somebody made it. You have the universe, somebody created it. That is a repeatable and observable scientific fact. And yet we censor that from our students. One other scientific fact that is censored from the students, and it was by Louis Pasteur, the founder of modern medicine. He discovered the law of biogenesis. That means life only begets life. Life does never come from non-life, which is what macroevolution teaches, that life came from non-life. That's a unscientific, religious fanatic belief. Life only begets life, therefore what? You had to have a life giver. And of course, our founding fathers put the word creator, and our country was founded on the Judeo-Christian principles, and yet we censor that information from the students to our own detriment. And now we see the problems we have in the public school. One other area is in reading. You know, when I got elected to the school board, one of the things I brought up was the teaching of intensive systematic phonics at the school board meeting versus the whole language curriculum or basal literature. You would have think I said a cuss word when I mentioned that at the school board meeting, the way people reacted. Well, we finally are moving towards that now, and I appreciate that in the curriculum. But for a long time, we were teaching a technique that was causing reading problems in the students, and we censored the information and facts that could have helped solve that problem. So members, I have a lot of concern about this provision, and really, I think it's going to be used to shut down parental input to a certain degree, regardless of the comfort language. And again, it's been our public educational system that has promoted censorship, lies, and deceit over the last 20 to 30 years. Please vote no.